Awesome.
Good morning. Get me some green. Getting my coffee here. Welcome to Coffee Talk on Saturdays. Got a couple people still sitting here, so if you see conversations happening off screen, just listen in. It's really an invitation for you to listen and get some education and hear some answers to some questions that are asked by the public. So if you have any yourself, go ahead and chime in the comments, and I'll do my best to look at all of those and respond to those while we're online. Otherwise, put them in the comments and I will respond after our live streaming video. So I'm Heather. Today I've got Daryl with me, and I have Tiffany with me, who is in the CBD industry as well with her husband. They do some topicals. So this is going to be a really interesting conversation, and I look forward to having you guys listen in. So talk to me a little bit more about what you guys are doing with topicals right now.
Sure. So basically what we do is we go from anywhere. We get our CBD from Colorado.
Okay.
And we also import our essential oils as well, which we infuse into our topicals from Oregon.
Okay.
From a couple of great companies. They're all organic and natural is one of the things that we like. One of the things that really got us into this market is I was in a professional background in banking and advising as well. And 2.5 years ago, this is a great opportunity, right? And so that's about the time that we started. So my mom, she's always had arthritis pain and such, and we're like, well, there's got to be something that's better than what you're taking now. And so when you do that, you look at how many prescriptions you're taking. They're kind of going through all the pain. Hey, this is Jay right here. It's always something that there's got to be more of a natural approach. And so we started out with this great product that we found when we were starting the business and discovering the CBD realm. Called CBD Daily. You probably heard about this. A topical cream. It's a great company, made by Earth the Body, and 60 milligrams of a product. And so we found that, and we couldn't keep it on the shelves. And so, obviously I'm probably taking that product too, but they are great products. They make beauty products and hair products as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of great products out
there.
There's
really
also some scary ones.
Absolutely. So, we said, Mom, you've got to try this out. And so sure enough, we get up there, and she rubs it on her knee, and she's like, oh, baby, I just love this. This is great. And she says, what is this? And I tell her it's CBD. And obviously there's a whole aspect of, well, what is CBD? And then you go through talk moss to right from hemp, and all do you get? High is a psychoactive effect from it? No, Mom, it's nothing like that. And so, but it seems like it helps you, right? And so, and she just loved it. And so also too, myself, I sleep with my arm under my pillow, and you wake up with, some pain here in your top shoulder, and it's typical people do that.
Right.
And so from that point, I rubbed it on my shoulder as well, and this is how I discovered the product. And I was like, maybe it was a fluke. So it couldn't have worked like that.
Right.
And so I tried it again and again, and it just worked every time. 60 milligrams of topical CBD. And that's where we knew, from a business standpoint, as I'm sure you guys are exploring, you've got to find a way to lower your costs. And so how do you do that? And so that's where we started using our background, our knowledge. We graduated from UNC Chapel Hill. I was a business major, her in elementary education. And we were like, well, what can we do to make this ourselves? Who do we need to contact? What do we need to go through? And that's where it came to the point, you're formulating and you are exploring the options of, I don't think so, going out there, okay, who has a great...
And that's coffee delivery, personal from Eric,
right.
who'll be joining us in just a second here.
Absolutely wonderful. So you're like, okay, well, who do we contact? You start going through, you contact a lot of the companies who are, in the growth space, who are, also white labels or private labels, and you find, or at least that's what we found, is that the minimums for even one SKU is pretty high. So what that means is like, well, we can make your cream for you, but we have minimum purchase requirements, and then say that by the time you do that at 500 units, you're up to like $15,000 or $20,000 for that one SKU.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so for a business in which we're putting our savings and everything into, just very small company, that's not something that we were able to do at that point in time.
No, but you're doing it the right way, which is one of the things that Tiffany and I were talking about before we turned the camera on, is that it is a weed. I mean, let's be perfectly honest, it's incredibly viable and really easy to grow. And what's happening is a lot of people are growing on their countertops, growing it in their backyards,
Right.
and then home extracting using boiling water or boiling extra virgin olive oil or boiling MCT
Sure.
and self-extracting. The problem with that is there's no way to gauge that, and then
Right.
they're not sending it away for testing. But like I was telling you earlier, there's some amazing printers in North Carolina. Like, we've got some incredible printing companies that can make really professional labels and make this home-based product look
Right.
like it
It's a
came from a
professional
factory.
product, absolutely.
And that's one of the things they were talking about on the news, that so many people are getting hurt, not only by topicals, because one person got burned by a topical
Wow.
because they used too many essential oils, and our skin can't handle essential oils
right.
at certain
They can be
concentrations.
dangerous.
It can be very
Absolutely.
dangerous. So it's nice to hear that a company like yours is actually taking the time to do it correctly and find a manufacturer and not try to make this in your kitchen. So I give you kudos.
So here's the thing, we actually do make it ourselves. And so that's where we decided we could control the cost. But here's the difference there. And so we understand that there are companies out there, we can grow hemp, right? You get your license, do that. But we don't have the expertise to extract it, right? We don't have the process or the facilities to extract it to that certain level that would be required to sell something to the general public. And that's why we actually depend on the people who are professionals in Colorado and some of the people even locally who are going about the right way, not only legally, but also from a perspective that they have the right capabilities and testing in place to do that. And so we'll actually purchase those items for them, and then we formulate based on our own patent formula ourselves. Not patent, let me take that back, because it's not a patent formula, but it's our own proprietary formula. That way it's minty smell.
You got to
and
patent
basic.
it.
Yeah, well, how do you patent that? That's another question we came across.
Eric and I actually work with someone that helps us with all of our patents, our copyrights, and our trademarks, everything.
Sure.
So we'd be happy to give you her information.
All right.
Her name is Sherry D'Amato. She's fantastic.
Thank
So
you.
Sherry, if you're watching this morning, you're welcome.
You got a big plug there.
But she does a great job for us, and she's incredibly anal with it.
Yeah.
And at first you might be like, oh my gosh, but she's just protecting you, and be glad you have someone that detailed on your side.
Well,
That's all I gotta say.
Exactly.
But
And
yeah, I
that's
can
the
connect you.
thing.
You gotta protect your formula. If you've come up with a good one, protect it. It's worth it. And I encourage anybody that's in the realm of making their own products, whether it's a CBD product or anything else, protect your idea. I know Daryl comes up with a lot of ideas for solar, and I always tell him the same thing. Even though you're not manufacturing it, protect your idea. That's how ideas start. Not everyone can be a manufacturer, but some of those manufacturers aren't idea people either.
Right.
They need us. They need people with innovative thoughts.
Patent.
That's right.
Patent.
There you go. But no, I mean, with that said, though, it's one of those things that we decided that we could actually do this ourselves. Now, you have to go take the right steps. We make sure that our CBD, we create nothing but THC-free products, because we also market to athletes and people like that.
Right.
I think that's very important.
Yeah.
And with our other company that we have as well, which we sell other brands of CBD products online only,
Right.
then we understood that they're doing things the right way. So how can we take their processes and those ideas about marketing and creating products for the public the correct way? And so that comes with transparency, and that comes with the appropriate testing as well for your products. And that's basically what we do. And so we decided that we would start with that one topical. It was a 100 milligram cream, and we went from there. So we're solving the problems that have been apparent with our clientele and customers. For instance, we have a spray. So how do we have some older customers in general market for CBD? I think we're getting some younger demographics coming in, but it's pretty much middle-aged to kind of older people, right? Because they're suffering from muscle and joint pain, inflammation, things like that.
Yeah.
How do we fix it? And they're looking for natural ways to do that as well.
Right.
And so one of the problems that one of the guys had, he's a farmer. He has a horse ranch or equestrian ranch back home. And he's like, I'm always out in my field, I can't reach my back. What can I do to get that back there? I come back in, I have my wife, she rubs it on me, everything else. And so I was out there weeding around the post. And so I hate taking my fingers and dipping it into my product. So we came up with a spray that, solved that problem. And so then it evolved from, for instance, as opposed to being a traditional nozzle spray that has, the tube in the spray. Well, what happens whenever you hold it upside down? Well, when you're running out of product, it's sucking air, right? So we formulated and derived our topical spray, which is an ultrafine misting spray, in an airless container. And now it can spray anywhere that you need to spray. So solving those problems are things that we think are creative.
That's
and that differentiates our ways to make our brand different. You know, because we know that there's a lot of out there, and we've done a lot of research into the space, and so. But that's basically
you're doing it the right way, though.
And we try our best.
And I can't tell you how many people come in and we talk to, because we are by first an education facility, and we encourage everybody. I don't care if you have your own brand, have your own company, have your own store. Let's work together and evolve this entire market as a team, and show that all CBD companies are indeed a united front, and that we're all trying to work together to bring this to the hands of the people that need it, and get people off of opioids, and get people off of drugs, and help people with their pain, and stop that suffering. It's a weed. Let's be realistic here, let alone the rotation crop. But the way that you guys are doing it is really admirable, because there's so many companies coming in that just aren't doing it right, or they're mixing it with the wrong things. They don't understand that there are unsafe ways to mix this. There are unsafe formulations, and I'll use the same tagline I always use: CBD helps everybody, but it doesn't help everybody the way that it's designed. So you really have to find the formulation that works right for you.
Right.
So I give you guys major kudos for doing it the right way and being so innovative with it.
Thank you.
And I think the most important thing too is the third-party testing, and even fourth-party testing. You know, once you kind of get that final product, because there's been so many reports that I've seen from doctors that have said, "Hey, I'm taking the top 50 that we know of, and we're gonna fifth-party test them and see what's in them." Only 25% of those companies were actually legit, and how much CBD was actually contained within either their bombs or their oils or whatever. So it's really important to make sure that you guys are hitting the standards appropriately. I mean, especially in the lotion business or something like that. Just because you don't want to be stuck in that other 75%.
That's exactly right.
And once you're tagged on that list,
you're like,
it
gets out.
It gets out super fast. I mean, even though CBD is a huge community, it's also quite small. We all know each other, we all know of each other, and we all know who's working. So it's really important to stay off that list. But that's why I always laugh when some of the other companies around the country open up and they're like, "We have 80 different brands." There's not 80 good brands out there. So it scares me that people sometimes think more option is better. Not necessarily. And like for us, we only have a handful of brands, like under 10. But we do that on purpose because the brands that we carry serve specific purposes. This one's extracted differently. This one has MCT. This one's in coconut oil. This one's in olive oil. This one's in grapeseed. This one is CO2. This one's water. Like, we're trying to fill the gaps on each and take the best of the best in each of those realms for people. So
absolutely, I think it also
broad
seems
spectrum,
like
full
it
spectrum. It's just really important just to have what works, and that's it.
That's exactly what I was going to say, because just as you were saying a second ago, one CBD or brand is not going to work the same for each of you.
Right.
And so having that option, that the vetted brands that we've come across, as an option for whoever it is that walks in, that's fantastic.
Well, I think it's pretty valuable.
Right.
When you bombard people with too many options, they get really confused. And I always tell people, I am not a major brewery where I have to have 87 beers on tap. I am a microbrewery with specific purpose, and I have about 6. That's my function. So that's what kind of separates us out differently from other people. So it's interesting to hear another company in the area that does those things. So you said you're online. What is the name of your product that you guys directly formulate?
It's Pure Embodiment.
Pure Embodiment.
And so we focus on.
Did you bring me samples?
Actually, we do have samples. We didn't expect to come down and talk about our products. But
well, that's what this coffee talk was for.
Yes.
That's why we started doing the coffee talks. It's just to encourage people in the arena. If you have questions of your own, come on out. Market it. If you have questions, post them online. We'll try to answer them. But just to give people a place to have a conversation that's totally safe and ask those questions. I mean, reading articles online is great, but you can't get that live feedback to let people know what's actually happening out there.
And answer your questions, and a trusted source as well. There's so much information online
So, and I'm glad you said that. So let me explain trusted sources and then what that actually means. There is really no formal education for CBD knowledge right now. There's formal education for growers. That's being developed by Rick Rainbow and his team. They've got an entire program for farmers teaching them how to grow, what kind of soil, how to extract, but there's really nothing for the people on this end educating. So your education has to come from experience or a lot of reading. So for Eric and I was raised in a family that used hemp as medicine my whole life. So for me, it was never taboo. It was totally normal to have hemp tea. Completely normal. You have a fever, you have a headache, here's some hemp tea. So for me to be raised in an environment where it was never treated taboo, I learned a lot about the plant. I was educated properly, just like your parents would educate you on healthy eating. I was educated on, I guess in this situation, healthy drug use. Learning, here's what the plant does, here's how you use it, here's what you don't use it for, here's when you don't use it, here's how you use it. And then when I got older and I started going down the path for college, you got to write a paper. My teacher ironically gave me a paper on why industrial hemp should remain illegal. So
when was that? It was like 2005
it was,
or
no,
something?
It was in the 90s because it
Late
was in
90s,
late
right?
no late 80s because I was still in high school for that paper. So when we did the paper, I'm thinking to myself, why is it illegal? And when I went down that path and realized that we spend trillions of dollars a year, and this is in the late 80s, early 90s, trillions of dollars a year on industrial hemp, but yet we claim we have a financial deficit in our country.
Right.
When we're literally buying a weed from Canada in trillions of dollars a year, it put me on a completely different path. So then I spent a lot of my college years on the agricultural and educational side and legislation, fighting for, I was the person protesting, I was the person collecting signatures, I was the person trying to get information to the government saying this needs to be a rotation crop, this can help with our ozone, it sequesters CO2, it puts nutrients back in the soil for farmers, we're buying trillions of dollars, just trying to raise awareness to let people know it can make fiber, it can make paper, it can make plastics, it can make over 25,000 things that we wear every day, and yet we won't let our farmers rotate crop, and then we wonder why our crops are deficient in nutrients. Why on comes Monsanto and all of the chemicals they use to try to kill the bugs. That it just that whole cyclical cycle. And then when Eric and I met, he came from a background where he was in Arizona at the time where they started allowing medical. So he started learning about that process.
I went to Arizona State. And 1996, the Super Bowl was there. So they had a gentleman from California, and my roommate was from California as well. And he came to basically broadcast the fact that there was a grandfather loophole in the state of Arizona at the time where you could sell legal marijuana. So right across the street from our campus, we were kind of like a mile, block. So literally right across the street, he pulled up, put out his signs. Newspaper, news stations are out there interviewing him and all this stuff. We went up, we bought some legally. It was stamped and everything. It was the coolest thing ever. My roommate actually got a license back in the day to sell. And it was kind of a grandfather clause. He was like one of the first 10 to get one. So we had little pictures and everything. The guy ended up getting arrested eventually. But it was all over the news. And I mean, when you have that Super Bowl audience and you're broadcasting this, that hey, this should become legal, this should be this. It makes a huge step forward. Yeah, I mean it's really interesting. I know Ellen when she was just getting started, Prime Sunshine, when she was getting started, they had Woody Harrelson come out to the farm, and that's that one instance where he got arrested.
No, you're kidding.
Yeah, so it's all those kind of marketing things and getting the word out there, letting people know that, hey, it's not a horrible thing.
You gotta shake it up a little bit. So, fast forward, I go on to study nutrition and mobility difficulties. So I was a yoga instructor that helped people with pregnant women, major surgeries, elderly, not using it for athletic, but more teaching people how to use yoga to bring your body back after an injury or something traumatic that happens. Eric went on to study chiropractic and nutrition. So then Colorado became legal. And we just kind of sat there, and first we were like, oh man, like I'm glad it's finally getting out there, but wish we lived in Colorado because I want to be part of that movement. We've been fighting so hard. I want to be part of it. And then we kind of took a step back and said, well, let's see how they do this. Let's see what shakes through a little bit, because the first one always messes up. The first one to go always makes mistakes, and we can use that and learn and grow it as a nation. So we just kind of paid attention, and we started talking to some of our physician friends with our backgrounds in health. We started asking, what are you looking for? What do you not know? And we know a lot of answers just from not only personal use, but just growing up with it and then doing our own private research. So when someone says I'm professionally trained on hempaceuticals, it's not a thing. There's technically nothing right now, but there's a lot of great books out there that can give you a hempaceutical status that really educate you. I always tell people, don't get a book that's just Beyond Buds or CBD 101. Though it's valuable information, it's not going to provide you what you need to really talk to patients. You need to read something that is on the more medical spectrum, that's written by physicians, that can relate to medical journals, medical documents, or testing that they've seen. And I always tell people, don't look at testing on rats, because last time I checked, I'm not furry with a tail.
Right. Exactly.
I want to know what's happening to human beings, because there is no psychoactive piece, and it doesn't control your factory organs. So what that means is, unlike alcohol, you can literally drink yourself to death in 24 hours. You can be healthy like Daryl and get so drunk that you die. Right. No offense, I don't want that to happen to you. But at the same time, I could give Daryl 22 pounds of weed and say, smoke up, right?
Daryl's like, what?
The worst that's going to happen is he's going to fall asleep and he's going to wake up with the munchies. Like, that's it.
Right.
So people are more willing to try things like that, because a lot of the medications, have you ever watched a commercial? And this causes diarrhea, anal bleeding, and heart attack, but only in a few.
And on occasion, death.
And on occasion, but with a smile, and occasionally death.
But your blood pressure will go down.
But your blood pressure will go down. Or your anxiety will be gone, or hey, you'll be able to sleep. Wow, you're going to be sleeping for a long time potentially. So teaching people that kind of stuff and knowing that information is really important. But again, there's really not a university out there. I know Eric and I have been trying really diligently to develop CEs for physicians and get the education we know out there to try to train people. And we're trying to work with several other people trying to develop an actual hempaceuticals type of license. But because it's such a fringe market, I'm going to say right now, it's just, we can't be labeled as a university or a true educational facility.
Well, let me ask you this, how accepted, or what's the word I'm looking for? You know, how acceptable are the doctors and the people that you're working with right now as you're trying to progress?
The physicians we partner with now are really receptive. They're responding to us, they're sharing their patient news with us, they're giving us feedback on, hey, this works really well for this ailment, and here's the amounts I've been using for this patient. But as I always say, we have athletes that come in here that have to duck when they come in our door, and we have an elderly woman that comes in and she's 87 and I see her coming from a mile away. She's coming. But she takes almost 100 milligrams a day because of the pain she's in, the joint problems she has, the degeneration in her spine. And then I've got this athlete who gets banged up, like literally physically beaten as a job, ducks to come in, and he's good with 30. So I always tell people, CBD is not based on your size or your age, it's based on how your body is actually processing the cannabinoid. So dosing for me is kind of a gray area. We can give norms based on the average person of 6'2" and 180 pounds takes about this. But that doesn't mean that's what you need. So we try to educate here at Give Me Some Green, start slow and low. You might
listen to your body.
Listen to your body. And I could give you, and we refer to this a lot, I could give you, if you said, you know, I gotta take the edge off, I could give you an 8-ounce glass of vodka. It'll take the edge off.
Sure.
You're gonna feel fine. But did you need 8 ounces? Would you have been fine with 1? Probably. So I always kind of use that analogy. It's like, if I give you 8 ounces of something right now, in your mind, every time you're in pain, you're gonna go for 8 ounces and go for 8 ounces and go for 8 ounces. I mean, even though it's not detrimental to your health, because CBD is non-addictive, it's cost effective. you
It's
don't
not
need to
necessary.
spend that
That's
much
exactly
money.
Right.
You know, it's just, taking extra is not gonna benefit you. Taking what because your body's only gonna use what it actually needs. So it's like drinking too much water. You're gonna pee it out. So I always tell people start slow, and and even when they say I'm in tons of pain, I'm like, I know, but I wanna find where that threshold is for you, because it can be cost effective to do so and just better for your health overall. And then finding the right formulation.
Well, that's right.
So I don't know if I agree with dosing all the time.
No.
So when doctors say, and you mentioned that doctors say, come and get the proper dose, what do they actually
It's
know?
dependent on your body.
Right.
So some of the physicians we partner with, it was kind of shocking when Eric and I started sitting down and talking to physicians, how little they actually knew about herbal supplements, how much they knew about our actual endocannabinoid system, because they weren't taught that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, one of the doctors, and I won't say his name because he was so incredibly candid with me in this conversation. He's like, listen, all of my books were by Big Farm. They were paid for by Big Farm. Every book I have on the back, manufactured by, and then a name of a Big Farm company. He goes, so in school, even though he was in college for over 8 years learning his craft, he said maybe one class in that entire 8-year program was about nutrition. And that's really what CBD is. It's a nutritional supplement. It's how your body balances something, you know? And he goes, I don't know anything about it. So if something as simple as taking a vitamin C can help someone, I write a book on it. That's what he tells me. That's disturbing. So now fast forward to where we are today, where we've got doctors saying, well, we can help you with a proper dose. Where are they getting that? If there's nothing formal, Eric and I are trying to teach them, and I know there's a couple other educators that are trying to write CEUs for doctors, but where else are they getting that information where they can say, so even though doctors know their craft well, we know ours. We've been doing this industry for over a decade, and I know a lot of other people have, and you guys have done your research. We're the ones that need to provide that information and start banding together to develop educational programs to really get that education out to the masses.
Yeah, I have one chiropractor that we wholesale with, and he'll only deal with one brand, non-flavored, just the natural stuff, because he wants to know exactly what he's giving his patients so he can monitor it, right? So just between some of the drops and some of the soft gels, that's it. I tried to introduce a new product to him. He's like, no, I love this one. I'm going to stick with this one. You know, that way he can start monitoring it, give us some reports on, hey, this XYZ person screwed up their back. They've been using, you know, the soft gels with, you know, some tincture during the day and maybe some balm at night or something like that. And that's it. He knows exactly what he's giving him, how much, and what to do to move forward.
Yeah, I think those are all valid points. Because one of the things, we were discussing some of these aspects with some of our clientele with the drops and stuff. Now, our brand, we don't do any topic tinctures or anything.
Yeah.
But, you know, every brand's going to be a little different. Now, one of the brands we have, New Leaf. I mean, that's a heavily concentrated.
Yeah, it's a great brand too.
Yeah, and so, but it's a lot different than it would be like one of the others we carry, like the Blue Book, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so each bottle is going to have its own recommended serving size or dosage, however you want to phrase it, per that one. So we've always told people, it's like, well, based on this particular brand that you like, start with that serving size. That's what's recommended by the bottle,
Right.
and kind of go up or down from there.
Yeah.
And so that's going to kind of give you that baseline of what you need to do. Not necessarily that you need to go overboard and keep do more, just as you were saying.
Right.
But at times, if you're listening to your body, you can actually step down, save yourself some dollars, and actually have the same or even more effective results.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, that's true. That's really true.
There was some advice, I can't remember where we heard it from, but they said, oh, you want to shock your system. I'm like, no. You really don't want to do that, because you could really affect your internal, because if your body's not used to it, or say you're a certain blood type and you're taking the coconut oil or something like that, you're going to, like Heather said with the vodka example, yeah, I can give you 8 ounces, or I can give you a bottle. Like, and the effects are going to be completely different. Right? So all our vendors have told us, slow and low, low and slow. The recommended dosage, at least for the first week, and then go from there, right? And I mean, even a lot of the research that we've done for it, same thing. You don't want to shock your system right away. I shock my pool, but I'm not going to do it.
We're not a
Shock
pool,
the body,
right?
Yeah. So.
And there are some overall norms just based on studies. Canada's been using medicinal hemp for a lot longer than we have as I said, they've been growing it and selling it to us because we're right here in the US. But one of their studies came back and said the average person, the average grown adult, 18 and up, takes between 10 and 25 milligrams for just overall general health every day. I feel like that's a really good consensus based on, even based on our people, our patients that we've had over the past couple of years. That's a really good start for most people. And everyone comes in, well, I need it for an ailment. Why? You don't take water for an ailment. CBD balances your endocrine system. It balances your hormones. It balances your pituitary gland. So I always tell people, it is a great tool for just overall health, just to maintain homeostasis in your body. And do you need to take 30 milligrams? No, you can be fine with 5. Just because the average is 10 to 25 doesn't mean that 5 won't do you fine. Me personally, I'm at a solid 20 to 30 a day. Every day, like clockwork. And I've noticed a huge difference in just my overall well-being.
Right,
from doing that.
Same here.
So, and do you take a tincture or are you strictly topical?
I do take tinctures as well because I've actually had some things that I was using from a pharmaceutical perspective for like ADHD, for instance, and I wanted to stop taking that stuff. And so I'm not saying that that's a cure for that, or that it's something that could help a lot of people, but it's helped me from that perspective to kind of, again, bring your body back in homeostasis without the need for those other pharmaceutical products. So I'm not going to go into all that, but it's like, so I do about 25 or 30 a day as well, or actually, probably more like 60, because I do it twice a day. That's a basic part of my routine when I wake up and when I go to bed.
Yep,
and every
same
morning.
here.
And it's just, I found myself, more even keel. And one of the things that I've always told somebody, you can tell, so if you just start your general regimen of your CBD, whatever it is, brand, who cares, you will know if you're getting some benefit from that or not when you stop taking it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah, so stop
taking it. You may not notice it when you're on it because it might be subtle, but the minute you stop, you'll realize someone stops in front of you, son of a, and then you realize, last week when I was taking my CBD, that didn't affect me. So I lovingly refer to the movie Limitless. Did you guys see that movie?
No, I have not.
All right, if you guys saw that movie, it's a great movie. But Limitless is about a drug that was developed that just taps into all the receptors in your brain and makes you like hyper aware.
The other 80%.
Like you can tap into the rest of your brain. So you become laser focused and all super calm, and you are responding to the world instead of reacting to the world.
Sure.
For me, that's what CBD does. It's my NZT. I am laser focused, on point. I got everything organized. I'm responding, not reacting. Makes a huge difference in my just day-to-day stress levels. And as you know, and this could be a whole nother coffee talk, guys, is stress is killing us. It's killing people more than cancer. It's killing people more than a heart attack. It's killing people more than lung disease. The stress hormones that we suffer from now are literally the #1 killer in our society. So if we can eliminate stress for everybody, it'd be great.
Happy place.
Happy place. All right, guys. So that is our coffee talk for this Saturday. Thank you to those that were watching. Thank you to our guests. And could you share with us again the name of your brand?
Yeah, sure. Do you want to see some of the products?
Yeah, I want to see some of your product real quick. And guys, we might have some of this spraying for you to come and try soon because that is really unique.
We have a range of 5 products. This is where we started, and this is our demo bottle.
Nice.
That's a 100 milligram.
So check that out, guys. Pure embodiment.
It's a little beat up because it's in the bag there, but so
I like the
I like your
container.
packaging.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And so
just push on the top so you're
just
not
push on the top. It's in
sticking
a
your hands
cosmetic
into.
bottle.
That's
And that is the hairless
great.
container.
Oh, I love it.
And then here are some of the others. So as we mentioned before, we have more of like a spa line in which we actually get into more people who are hands-on.
Nice.
Your massage therapists, we work with people like that.
Oh, yeah,
And because that's how you
Did
demonstrate
you
a product.
know, North Carolina, this is for you guys specifically.
Oh, please keep going.
It is illegal to massage with CBD oil in the state of North Carolina. If you get caught, you lose your license. So,
That's something
if you are a massage therapist and you are doing and advertising CBD massages, they're looking for you. Be careful. I've already known several massage therapists that have received the letter and 2 whose licenses have been revoked because they did not cease and desist. So be very careful. If that is something you're doing, it is actually not legal.
That's right, and that's really what created a broad stroke at this point in time
Go
with
to
the way
South
they classify
Carolina.
hemp, right? and so, and again, places
Yeah,
in Colorado
they talk
where
about
they're actually
social
already doing
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
those are the places we like to target as well. Because right now, it incurred those challenges among massage therapists because of that ruling
And
that
it,
they
and
have
it
right
helps
now.
people. That's what kills
So
me.
unfortunate. Yeah.
So what else do you have?
And
I'm
so,
excited.
you know, from that perspective, we also have like a massage and body oil. I like to use that product
In a pump.
in a
Very
pump,
nice.
so they're all airless containers except for this. So that would be our spa line, and this is our sport line of product, in which we
Okay.
actually work with athletes, people who are in fitness, yoga instructors, because who are more intense in their workouts, who are more active. Take the top
Here,
off one of those and
hold
get
that
a
for me.
smell of that and see what you think. And
Can I
so,
open this
yeah,
up?
absolutely, if you can open it. One of the things that we found when you get into the topical aspect is that when you get into higher milligrams, we get more of a balmy feel.
I'm excited. Just keep handing me stuff.
And we get more of a waxy feel. And so from a professional
spray
background,
lotion.
yeah,
Brilliant.
so you can spray that, you want to try it out. From a professional background, you know, we wanted to make something that, you know, gentlemen, ladies can wear anytime, anywhere. And so without having that transfer over to your fine material clothing. Because again, when you get some of the balms or things like that, they're real
That's
heavy.
a really good point. Yeah.
And
That's a really good
so,
point.
you know, when we go into the office, then you want something that's not going to get on your expensive shirt, your clothing. When the last thing you want is something that's going to have this long time residual that smells terrible on your skin.
What, you don't want to smell like Ben Gay?
I don't want to
That was
smell.
his
Yeah,
big
that's
thing.
exactly. That's what they do.
Jeez.
And so we're like, you know, I don't want to smell that old timey fashion smell when you walk in your Target or your Walmart and everyone knows that you're feeling bad or you're sore because of that smell that's radiating off your skin.
Yeah,
How do
that's
we
true.
solve that problem? And that's what we feel we did.
I love it.
I know you
And
did
I
so,
love it. All right, guys, I'm going to cut you off for the day, but keep in touch with us, Pure Embodiment. We are so grateful to have you guys come
Thanks
into
for having
Coffee Talk
us.
today. It was a wonderful surprise. Check back with us. Look at our events calendar on Facebook and our website and on Eventbrite for our next Coffee Talk session and our next guest speaker. And I'm going to get up, get very close to y'all and say, bye, guys.
Man, that massage.